All right, let's get right into it. A top Russian official has just dropped a pretty serious warning, saying the world is facing a massive threat of a major conflict. So what's really going on here? Today, we're going to break that message down. We'll look at the why, the history behind it, and a surprisingly specific path forward that's being proposed.
In this quote right here, this is the heart of it. The statement comes from Valentina Matviyenko, who's a huge figure in Russian politics. I mean, it doesn't get much more direct than this. She's telling an international audience that the danger of a large-scale war is higher than it's been in a very, very long time. So you gotta ask, right? From Moscow's point of view, what exactly has pushed global security to this breaking point? And maybe more importantly, what's the proposed solution they're putting on the table?
Okay, so to really get this warning, you first have to understand the diagnosis. The argument being made is that the entire security system we've had since the Cold War, it's completely broken. Let's dig into why.
The key phrase here is indivisible security. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's the idea that you can't make yourself safer by making someone else less safe. The argument is that this very principle, which was supposed to be the foundation of everything after the Cold War, just never happened. So instead of that collective system, the claim is that a group of Western nations made what they call a bet on hegemony. Basically, the accusation is that dominance was picked over partnership, leading to one bloc pushing its own interests and its own rules on everybody else.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because this slide breaks down two totally different ways of looking at the world. On one side, you have an order that's based on rules set by a certain group of countries. But on the other, you have an order based on universal things, like the UN Charter, where every country is supposed to be on equal footing. The message being sent is that the first model won out, and that's what's led us to this crisis.
So how did we get to this point? Well, this speech didn't just make claims, it laid out a very specific timeline of events. It's presented as this pattern of growing problems and a total breakdown of trust. Let's walk through it.
This timeline is laid out as the proof. It starts with military actions in places like Yugoslavia, Iraq, and Libya. Then you get to 2008, a really pivotal year, when NATO officially said Georgia and Ukraine could one day become members. After that, the conflict in South Ossetia, and then finally, what Russia describes as a Western-backed coup in Ukraine in 2014. From this point of view, these aren't just random events. They're all connected dots leading in a very dangerous direction.
And this slide really sums it all up. The conclusion drawn from that timeline is that the unbridled expansion of NATO completely destroyed that principle of indivisible security we talked about. The feeling was that as one side's security blanket got bigger and bigger, it left others feeling totally out in the cold and threatened.
But, okay, it's not all doom and gloom. Right in the middle of this really bleak picture, the speech makes a sharp turn and highlights one specific relationship as a possible way out of this mess. The partnership with Turkey.
Yeah, even with everything going on in the world, the Russia-Turkey relationship is being presented as this stable, positive force. It's being held up as proof that two major countries can actually work together even when they don't see eye to eye on everything.
And a huge part of this partnership is economic. Just to put a number on it, last year alone, the trade between Russia and Turkey hit $60 billion. That's a serious number.
But they're not stopping there. The goal they've set for the future is to push that trade all the way up to $100 billion. So yeah, that's a pretty clear signal that they plan on getting even closer economically.
So what does this partnership actually look like? Well, it's way more than just trade. We're talking about massive projects, like building a nuclear power plant together. They're also coordinating on really complex diplomatic stuff in the Middle East. And, this is the big one, it's all about Turkey's so-called balanced position on the Ukraine conflict, with President Erdoğan constantly offering up Istanbul as a neutral place for peace talks.
So when you put all the pieces together, what's the real message being sent from Moscow? It feels like they're sending two very different signals at the exact same time.
Let's break that down. Signal number one is the really harsh warning. The world is in a dangerous place, the threat of war is real, and it's all blamed on decades of Western policy. But then there's signal number two, which is a diplomatic door being left open. It's basically saying, look, as bad as things are, there's still a way to talk, and that way is through balanced countries like Turkey.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. In a world where all the old alliances are being pushed to their limits, could these new kinds of practical partnerships, like the one between Russia and Turkey, be the new bridges that end up shaping the future of global security? It's definitely something to consider.